นักศึกษาได้ยินอาจารย์ไหมคะถ้าได้ยินช่วยคอมเมนต์บอกอาจารย์หน่อยเนาะ เย่ได้ยินชัดไหมได้ยินชัดเนาะชัดอยู่ไหมคะ Okay, let's do it in this way. I think it would be better because if I go live through our Facebook group so that if there is some low internet connection, so you guys can like come back and watch it again. And if I like if you have class after my class, so you feel free to go because if I teach more than 11 o'clock and then you feel free to go to your other class to your follow the next class uh-huh and you can like come back and watch it again for like reviewing for your final examination. Ah, โอเคอาจารย์ขอเช็คไปในมือถือไปด้วยเนาะโอเคหวังว่าจะไม่ค้างนะคะถ้าถ้าค้างเนี่ยขอให้รบกวนนักศึกษาทักแชท Facebook มาบอกอาจารย์หน่อยเนาะถ้ามันค้างโอเค um in today class you guys will study about syntactic analysis so what are we going to do is that I will explain about the chapter today and if you have any question feel free to left down the comment below so I will answer it later when we finish the class โอเคเดี๋ยวอาจารย์จะขออธิบายไปก่อนเรื่อยๆนะคะแล้วก็ถ้าใครมีคำถามเนี่ยก็ส่งมาถามได้เลยในช่องคอมเมนต์เนาะแล้วก็เดี๋ยวพอเสร็จสอนเสร็จแล้วเนี่ยเดี๋ยวอาจารย์จะตามไปตอบทีละคำถามอีกทีหนึ่งนะคะขอให้เป็นในเวนี้ไปก่อนเนาะอ่ะงั้นเรามาเริ่มกันเลยโอเค Okay, but before we start, I would like to talk about your quiz two, the quiz two, the phrasal categories and the clausal category. Oh no, not clausal, lexical categories and phrasal categories that you guys just took the quiz. So the quiz to be honest, I haven't finished grading the quiz yet, but we will hopefully maybe within next week again and hopefully that next week you guys will know your score and in your next week so next week what we are going to do next week is that we are going to review for the final examination so in that review I think if like going live through our Facebook group like this is work out so I will discuss about your quiz in the review class next week again ถ้ามันค้างยังไงช่วยบอกอาจารย์ด้วยนะคะ Okay. So let's start our chapter 11 today. The syntactic analysis. So the syntactic analysis. First of all, let me explain you about the construction that the terms that we use in syntactic analysis. So the first term is construction. So when we talk about construction we refer to a unit that consists of words or the combination of words that getting together. So basically say that construction is a group of words. So but that group of words, the difference is that when we talk about construction, different is that construction, a group of words share some kind of grammatical rules to each other. So there is some grammatical rules that govern how these group of words occur. So when we talk about construction, there are another terms, for example, like constituent and constituency, which we will have a look later. เดี๋ยวจะอธิบายต่อไปนะคะ so as I mentioned that construction there are a group of words, right? So definitely construction can be phrases, can be clauses, can be sentences. But definitely construction will not be just a word, because a word that there is just one word, right? So there are no like other words that can help us to show the grammatical relationship, grammatical rules that they share together with other words. This slide I already uploaded in our Google Drive, so you can have a look and follow what I teach you here. เหมือนเดิมเนาะถ้ามีคำถามสามารถใส่ไว้ในช่องคอมเมนต์ได้นะคะ เดี๋ยวอาจารย์จะตามมาตอบอีกครั้งหนึ่งเนาะ แล้วก็ตอนนี้ขออธิบายไปเรื่อยๆถ้า if you cannot catch up you can like come back and watch it again นะคะ I will not delete this video from our group. So identify the construction. So for example, if we have this kind of sentence, after we finished working, Beck and I went to the movies. So the whole sentence here, after we finished working, Beck and I went to the movie. Here is one construction because it is a sentence and we gather a lot of words together. We gather many words together, right? And each word they share the grammatical relationship, grammatical rules to each other. And in this construction, in the complex sentence construction, we have the smaller construction, which are clauses. The first one after we finish working, this one is dependent clause. The first construction ก็ถือเป็นโครงสร้างหนึ่งเหมือนกัน and the second one, Beck and I went to the movies. This one is the independent clause, which we will consider as another construction as well. So what I would like to mention is that under the biggest construction, the sentence after we finish working, Beck and I went to the movie, we have the smaller construction like the clause, two clauses after we finish working and Beck and I went to the movies. And under the construction clause after we finish working, we also have the small construction like the verb phrase finish working. Or in the independent clause, the construction Peg and I went to the movie, we also have prepositional phrase to the movies. And other phrases that I didn't mention as well that we will consider as the smaller construction in this sentence. So to sum up again, whenever we talk about construction, we refer to the group of words that share some kind of grammatical relationship, grammatical rules. So what would we mean is that we would like to say that each word didn't put into the sentence freely. we have some kind of grammatical rules that govern how we can position, and each word share the grammatical rules, grammatical relationship toward each other. Mhm. So if you have a look at this construction after and I two movies. So this one we won't call it construction. The reason is that after and I two movies, there is no grammatical rules that govern how each word occur. So as you can see, each words here occur freely, that it doesn't follow the grammatical rules of English language. So during the teaching, if you would like to take a break for a minute, feel free to do so. But like you can come back and like watch it again. So yeah, after an I two movie, this one is not a construction because there is no relationship between each words, each elements, as I mentioned before. อาจจะมีเสียงแทรกนิดนึงนะคะหมาอาจารย์ค่อนข้างดุ Okay, if you have a chance, I will show you my dogs. So examples of constructions. So for example, Jane sits. This one is one construction as well because it is a sentence, right? Or the monk is praying. Now phrase the monk, the smaller construction. Verb phrase is playing. The smaller construction as well, and together we have the big construction, the monk is praying, the sentence. And the cat chased the dog. The cat now phrased and chased the dog were phrased. So together we have the big construction, sentence, the cat chased the dog. So when we talk about construction, as I mentioned, construction is a group of words, right? And we have grammatical rules that govern it. So the construction, since as you may like have the idea that words will not put into the sentence freely, the next terminology that I would like to introduce to you is linear order. So it is the order that each word share together. It is the order that we can organize, we can arrange the words. So, for example, the sentence, the black hawk flew back to their home. So, in this sentence, it means that the word black here has a linear order with the word hawk. The reason is that the word black shares some relationship with the word hawk that is next to it, because the word black modified the word hawk. But if you can see that the linear order, it needs to share the grammatical relationship with the following word. With which what I mean is that we will not consider the word black has the relationship with the word home because it's too far from the word black, right? So yeah. So what would we mean by the linear order is that one word always shares some grammatical relationship with the words that next to it. So yeah, if we switch out like this, it means that the word cannot put into the sentence freely. So it needs to be, so the word hawk needs to have like need to be bound or share some grammatical rules with the word black hawk. And then the share the grammatical relationship with black hawk, so it go in linear order like this. And home, we have their home and flew back. So flew shares some grammatical relationship with the word back that is next to it into linear order. And the word to that is a preposition that share the linear order, the grammatical relationship with the noun phrase their home. Mhm. So this is the linear order. So yeah, as I mentioned, we have the word back show the grammatical relationship with the word hawk. So it is linear order that like show the relationship to the words next to it. But not hawk and home, because it's too far away from each other, and it not the word that next to each other. So the relationship between the word hawk and home is too far away. So it doesn't show anything, not show any relationship. So when we talk about linear order, the next terminology that follow the linear order is hierarchical order. So hierarchical order, hierarchy, if you're familiar with this term in CCC course, right? Hierarchy, ลำดับชนชั้น so from bottom to up. So hierarchical order, it means that we each word or each construction, the construction when we have the bigger construction like phrase, clause, sentence, it doesn't mean that we have phrase or clause or sentence like the bigger construction. It means that we form the bigger construction by using the small construction and combine them together and build them up to have the bigger construction. So it means that, for example, Black Hawk, we have the word hawk first, and then from hawk we build it up into Black Hawk. So from the bottom, the smallest construction, we build them up into like the bigger construction. So we have Black Hawk, and from Black Hawk, in order to form the noun phrase, we put the into it, into the Black Hawk. So we have the noun phrase, the Black Hawk. And also in the part of verb phrase, so we form it from home and their home to be the object of this verb phrase to the smallest construction, and then we build their home into to their home, the prepositional phrase, and then we build to their home bigger into back to their home, and then from back to their home we build it up into flew back to their home, the verb phrase, and together we form the sentence, the biggest construction, flew the Black Hawk flew back to their home. So to compare with the linear order, when we look at hierarchical order, we look from the bottom up to the top. So it means that hierarchical order, we look at the smallest construction that we combine them together to be the bigger construction. But when we look at the linear order, it means that we look from the words that next to each other that share the relationship to each other. And the next terminology that I left it out from the first one, constituent and constituency. So when we talk about constituent, it means that when we talk about constituency first, okay, constituency. So when we talk about constituency, it means that we refer to the process that we group the syntactic categories, we group the construction together. So when we talk about constituency, we might refer to phrasal and clausal or sentential. That's what constituency is. But when we talk about constituent, we refer to the string of words that share the relationship to each other. So a constituent, we will focus on the word on each construction. But a constituency, we focus on the syntactic category, how we group it. So it means that constituents, we use constituent to form a sentence, and we refer to a sentence as a constituency. And in order to identify the constituents we use the label brackets ไอ้ที่มันเป็นสี่เหลี่ยมอย่างนี้ Okay, so we analyze the constituent in order to help us to analyze the structure or the construction of our data, the phrase, the clause, and the sentence. So that's why we can use label brackets. What I would like to point out is that the label bracket, or to analyze the constituent like this, it kind of similar to what we will do in the tree diagram. So if you can analyze the constituent by using the label brackets, it means that you have some idea how to analyze the tree diagram. So it means that you can separate, you can differentiate about the structure in each construction. Okay, so for example of how to analyze the constituent, for example, the sentence the cat killed the rat. So first of all, you need to separate, you need to identify the construction that you can find in that sentence, the cat killed the rat. So the first one, we have the cat as one constituent. So it is a noun phrase, right? The cat. And the second one, we have noun phrase, the rat. Noun phrase, the rat together. And then we use the label bracket to cover it, the rat. And next, we combine it with killed, the verb killed. Together, it is verb phrase, killed. So, to show you to portray the more clearer picture, so together, this one is the sentence. So we have another label bracket to show that it is a sentence. So to portray that in this picture, the first constituent is always the biggest one. So the first constituent is sentence, and in this sentence, you have noun phrase the cat and verb phrase kill the rat. And in this noun phrase, you have that, the, and now the cat, and now cat. So together, the cat. And in the constituent 3, which we will focus verb phrase here, in the constituent 3, verb phrase, we have verb killed, plus noun phrase, the rat. And in this noun phrase, if we would like to analyze in more detail, we have that, the, and now rat. Okay. So in order to analyze the constituent and constituency like this, it helps us to identify the different construction. For example, in the ambiguous construction is a construction that can interpret into two meanings. For example, an owned dog owner. The problem is with the adjective owned, because we don't know whether adjective owned here modify dog own dog หมาแก่ หรือ owned modify owner owner ที่แก่นะคะ so if you think that it modify owner ที่แก่ so we will have owner as one noun and dog as one noun. And since dog and owner we separate into different construction constituent, so then we group dog and owner as one noun phrase. So in this case, it is the head of this noun phrase is owner, because we refer to dog owner, the owner of the dog. And then we group dog owner as one noun phrase, and we separate owned, another construction, own adjective, and then we have the label bracket to combine them together as one noun phrase. So in this case, as you can see, in this case, dog and owner, we combine them into one construction, right? And owner is the head. Mhm. And we separate owned into another construction. So it means that in this case, own modify owner here. And don't forget that when we separate it like this, we also need to combine them as one noun phrase. So yeah, we have and another noun phrase. So in this case, what we mean is the oops, sorry. Owner as a head. Okay. So in this case, what we mean is the owner that is owned, not the dog that is owned, right? So what I would like to point out is that in this case, you can see another term that I would like to introduce to you is immediate constituent. So in this case, we have immediate constituent. Immediate constituent. Okay, constituent is a construction. It's a construction, right? And immediate, ทันทีทันใด something that following another action exactly. So immediate constituent is the constituent that follow another constituent directly, immediately นั่นเอง So as we can see here, own is the immediate constituent of the dog owner. And dog is the immediate constituent of the word owner. So why do we have immediate constituent? The reason is that immediate constituent is a constituent that write to next to each other, right? In this case. So dog here is the immediate constituent of the word owner. It means that dog modify owner. So the owner of the dog. And dog owner together, we have own as the immediate constituent of this noun phrase. So own here, it means that own modify dog owner. So immediate constituent can be identified by the label bracket like that. So if it next to each other, if we have label bracket to separate each other like this, it means that, for example, like in the case of own, we have two label brackets here. So it means that own here modified noun phrase owner, another label bracket here. So yeah, in this case, we refer to the owner that is owned, not the dog. However, if we would like to portray that it's not the owner that is owned, but it's the dog, so how can we analyze? By using the constituent and the constituent analyze it. So in this case, we have owner as one noun again. We have dog as one noun again. But okay, we have own as one adjective. But in this case, we group own and dog together, not dog owner like the previous case. So own and dog together as the noun phrase. And then we group them together to be the noun phrase, and then we have an to be the biggest noun phrase here. So in this case, if you can see, owner here is the separate constituent, but own and dog we don't have we separate own adjective and dog noun, and then we group them by using the yellow bracket here. The yellow bracket here. So it means that own dog is one constituent and own is the immediate constituent only dog, because we already separate dog and owner by using the yellow bracket here. So own is just the immediate constituent that is modified dog, that is next to dog, to modify that the dog is owned. Mm. So own is immediate constituent of dog, so the dog is owned, not the owner. So here, I compare between two analyzed immediate constituent. So the first one is the owner that is owned, but the second one is the dog that is owned. So the difference is how you group the immediate constituent. The first one, dog and owner together, but the second one, own and dog together. As you can see, dog and owner here, we separate by using yellow bracket. And the first one, we separate here, now fresh. Okay, and then the next terminology, the next way that I would like to point out is tree diagram. Definitely in this class, in your final examination, hopefully um if we have on-site examination, so you will have the tree diagram part in order to analyze. So, yeah, definitely, your final examination, you will draw the T diagram and analyze the T diagram of the just one sentence. So the tree diagram, as you guys already did it in the Introduction to Language and Linguistics, tree diagram is just the analysis of phrases, clauses, or sentences, which we analyze the construction of it and we portray our analysis in the tree-like chart. So we use that to show the relationship of each constituent in our construction. So the tree diagram usually consists of two things. The first one is nodes and the second one is branches. หัวกับสาขาของมันนั่นเอง So nodes, we use node to demonstrate type of syntactic units. For example, the sentence, the boy left home. So in this sentence, it is sentence, right? So we start with S sentence. Also, S, and from S we separate into two branches, noun phrase and verb phrase. So notes is S here and NP and VP. So notes. So S is notes. But this note we separate into two branches. So we can say that noun phrase and verb phrase is the two branches of its notes here. And from the note from noun phrase, we can separate into two branches, determiner and noun. Determiner, which is the, and noun, boy. And in the verb phrase, we can separate into verb and noun phrase. Two branches. So even though home is just one noun, right? But when we analyze a tree diagram, only the noun phrase like this, we will write it as noun phrase first, and then we signify into noun, and from noun we categorize into home. Only noun phrase like this, because if we write it as noun in the syntax theory, it means that verb and noun here have the same level. So it would be better if you analyze it into noun phrase first and then noun. Just noun phrase like this only. Mhm. And then it's here we can call them mother node. So in this mother node we have daughter node. So it means that noun phrase is the daughter node of sentence, which is a mother node here. And sentence is a bigger one, and noun phrase is smaller node, smaller construction that is under sentence, the mother node, the bigger construction here. And since noun phrase and verb phrase are the construction that is the same level อยู่ใน level เดียวกันระดับเดียวกัน so noun phrase and verb phrase here we call them sister notes เป็นพี่น้องกัน So in here we can classify the tree diagram into another analysis, which what we call phrase structure rules. So phrase structure rule is just another analysis. Actually, it is similar with the tree diagram. Tree diagram you just analyze and show it in the tree-like chart like this เหมือนเป็นต้นไม้แบบนี้ใช่ไหมคะ But phrase structure rule we analyze each phrase in the sentence in our construction. So when we do phrase structure rule, for example, like this. So the first phrase structure rule is sentence. So we classify them into S mean noun phrase, part verb phrase, which actually exactly similar with tree diagram like this. And in under noun phrase here, we analyze another phrase structure rule, another rules นั่นเอง so phrase structure rule is a rule that phrase can happen, the pattern that the phrase can occur. So the noun phrase here we have the pattern is dead and now, which exactly similar with the boy here. And in verb phrase we can classify the rule of this verb phrase into verb and noun phrase. So like this, verb and noun phrase. So the next terminology, since I already talked about phrase structure rule, actually phrase structure rules I already mentioned in when we analyze the constituent, right? So at the same thing. So phrase structure rule like this. So it can portray immediate constituent. It means that noun phrase and verb phrase is immediate constituent of each other. That adjective is immediate constituent of the head noun. And verb and noun phrase is immediate constituent to verb. So immediate constituent, we can have the shortened form, the abbreviation like IC. H is for the plural. S here is for the plural. So it means that the component S, we have the construction noun phrase and verb phrase, which is immediate constituent to each other. So, phrase structure rules, since I told you that phrase structure rule, we analyze them to tell the patterns of how we can organize phrase. But the different patterns of phrase structure rule can be generated depend on the data that you analyze. So it means that noun phrase doesn't have to be just determiner, adjective, and noun. Not always like that. It depends on the data that you have. And then I would like you guys to close your book first and have some paper with you. So we will practice doing the tree diagram. We will practice drawing the tree diagram. So the sentence that I will show you it based on your book. So I would like you to close your book first and try to draw the tree diagram with me. So what we are going to do is that I will show you the structure, the construction that I would like you to draw, and I will give you times, maybe 2 minutes to like practice with yourself, and I will show you the answer keys. So 1 minute, try to find the paper with you. I give you 1 minute. 1 นาทีนี้ให้ไปหาหนังสือมาก่อนนะคะแล้วก็ไม่ใช่ให้ไปหาหนังสือให้ไปหากระดาษมาเพื่อฝึกวาด tree diagram นะคะเดี๋ยวเราจะฝึกวาดไปด้วยกันเดี๋ยวอาจารย์จะโชว์ construction โชว์ phrase โชว์ sentence แล้วก็นักศึกษาฝึกวาดแล้วเดี๋ยวอาจารย์จะเปิดเฉลยให้ดูนะคะ give some times แล้วก็เปิดเฉลยให้ดูฝึกวาดไปOkay, I believe you guys have some papers with you already now. So, the first structure, any paper. If we have to draw the T diagram of this construction, what would it be like? I give you this really easy. So I give you just 30 seconds 30 วินาทีลองฝึกดูซิว่าเป็นยังไงถูกไม่ถูกช่างมันเดี๋ยวอาจารย์จะอธิบายนะคะ You don't need to concern whether it's right or wrong. Just practice first. Again ถ้าใครที่รู้สึกว่า if you feel that I go too fast you can like return or go back and then like you can pause it first สามารถหยุดก่อนก็ได้นะคะหยุดแล้วก็กลับมาดูได้ the answer keys of this structure, any paper. So any paper, it just noun phrase, right? So we have the noun phrase like this, and then we separate into two branches, determiner and noun. And in determiner, it is any, and noun is paper. Oops. Okay. Another construction, Chinese character. 30 seconds. โอเคเริ่มลองฝึกเอง30 วินาที Okay, Chinese character, it is noun phrase again. So what we have is that you have noun phrase first and then you noun phrase as the note. So you separate into two branches, adjective and noun. So adjective Chinese and noun characters. Another structure, some American people. Some American people. This time I give you 30 seconds again 30 วินาทีลองฝึกวาดดู Some American people. Okay, so the answer key is noun phrase again, but in this time, since we have two dependent, some and American, and we have hate people. So what we are going to do is that noun phrase here, and we have dead for some, and adjective American, and noun for people. So it means that we have three branches here. So some American people. So easy, right? Next one. Tip and Goy. How can we draw the tree diagram of the by using like there is a conjunction like that. Tip and Goy. 30 seconds again. Okay, the answer key is that. Okay, it's noun phrase, right? But okay, we have noun phrase here we separate into three branches. The first node is noun, tip, and the second is conjunction, and the third one is noun, goy. Okay, and then we move to another one, the dog and the cat. In this time, how can we draw it? Um, Since it's more complex, I give you 40 seconds. Okay, let's see the answer keys. The answer key is here. So we have noun phrase, and then we separate into three branches. The first one is the noun phrase, the noun phrase, the dog, and the second one conjunction, and the next one is noun phrase, the cat. So within this noun phrase, we separate into det, determiner, and noun, the dog, and here det and now again. So what? Okay, I think in case you maybe some of you might think that this noun phrase we can separate into like that now conjunction that now like this. Yeah. Don't separate into like five branches like this, because if you separate into five branches like this, it means that that doesn't go with now. So don't forget the immediate constituent. So in this case, it means that that is the immediate constituent of now, and together they combine together first, and then they have the noun phrase. So we need to separate into like from the bigger construction into the smaller construction, the hierarchical order นั่นเอง So let's go to another data. The panda in the cage. I give you 1 minute to do it. 1 นาทีเดี๋ยวอาจารย์จะเฉลย I will give you the answer keys. let's have a look at the answer keys. So, the panda indicates it is a noun phrase again, right? So, in this noun phrase, we separate into three branches. So, that, the, and noun, panda, and prepositional phrase because indicate modify our head, panda. So, we will not separate into P and that and noun. So, we need to group them together. So we have one prepositional phrase and then we separate into two branches, pep, in, and noun phrase, that and now. Again, if you have any question, feel free to leave it in the comment below. Oops. Okay, and the next structure that I would like you to identify is his long coat in the wardrobe. So I give you 1 minute. 1 minute. Okay, the answer key is this one. So his long coat and the wardrobe here is now phrased. So the noun is now phrased, right? So first of all, we need to find which one can be the dependent of our head. So first of all, you find the head first. So the head of his long coat in the wardrobe is coat, right? So what can be the dependent? Of course, definitely his determiner modified coat, his coat, long adjective modified coat, long coat, and prepositional phrase in the wardrobe modified coat, coat in the wardrobe. So in this noun phrase, we separate into four branches. The head noun coat. So the first branch is that determiner his, and the second one adjective long, and the third one is now the head of this noun phrase coat, and the last one prepositional phrase. So in this prepositional phrase we can analyze further. So we have the head prep p here in, and we have now phrase as the dependent of this head. So now phrase we can separate into that and now the wardrobe. So, I think now phrase is so easy, right? So now let's move to verb phrase. So let's start by the simple verb phrase first. The simple verb phrase, for example, dance happily. I give you 30 seconds to practice drawing it. 30 วินาที and I will explain you about the answer keys. Okay, the answer keys is that okay, it is verb phrase. So we separate into the main, the head of this verb phrase, which is dance, and then we have happily, which is a dependent that modify this verb. So we have two branches: dance verb and happily adverb. Move to another construction. Ask the teacher some questions. So in this construction, it's a bit complex. And this kind of construction definitely will be in your final exam for sure. So, my suggestion to analyze this structure, this kind of construction is that okay, please find which construction modify your head. So I give you 1 minute to draw this kind of tree diagram. Let's practice 1 minute and I will give you the answer key. Okay, the answer key is this one. So, and this is verb phrase definitely. Ask the teacher some question. But in this verb phrase, we have two dependents. So, the verb phrase ask the teacher some question. The head is ask, right? And we have two dependent. The first one is the teacher, and the second one is some questions. So, the teacher is indirect object to the verb ask, and some question is direct object to the verb ask here. So it means that we need to have three branches: verb, noun phrase, and noun phrase. So the first branch, verb ask, and then the second branch, noun phrase, the teacher. So it's classified into determiner and noun. And the last one, some question, determiner and noun. In your final exam, you don't need to specify the direct object like this. I just write here just to tell you that this noun phrase function as direct object. So in your final exam, um, just you are able to analyze that we have how many dependent and analyze the branch correctly, the tree diagram correctly. That's okay. So, the next one, call her boyfriend Bay. So I give you 1 minute again to do this structure. Okay, here is the answer key. So, call her boyfriend Bay. Here is the verb phrase, right? So the head is call, and we have two dependent. The first one is her boyfriend, which is now phrased. It is the object, the direct object, and the second one is Bay. Bay is object complement. The structure that complete this structure, the structure that complete our object. So we have three branches: call, her, now phrase, determiner, now her boyfriend, and another now phrase and specify into now, be. So if I pause for you not long enough, you can pause the video, the live first, and then you can continue when you finish drawing to see the answer keys ถ้าอาจารย์ไปเร็วไปสามารถหยุดไลฟ์ไว้ก่อนนักศึกษากดพอสไว้ได้เลยแล้วก็ทำเสร็จเมื่อไหร่กลับมาดูอันสคีได้นะคะ Another structure consists of three parts. Analyze ยังไงดี 1 minute. I give you 1 minute and I will give you the answer keys. Okay. 15 seconds left. Okay, let's see the answer key. The answer keys of this construction here. So, consist of three parts. Here is the verb phrase, right? So, this verb phrase can be, this verb phrase, the head is consist, and we have only one dependent, which is of three parts, the prepositional phrase. So, how we draw the T diagram is this one: verb phrase, and then we separate into verb, the head consist, and prepositional phrase. So P of and three parts. Noun phrase, determiner, and noun, three parts. Okay, let's go to another construction. Put the book on the table. I give you 1 minute to do that. Okay, here is the answer key. So put the table. So under the answer key is put the book on the table. Here is that. So it is a verb phrase, right? So the head is put. And we have two dependent that modify our head. The first dependent is the book, and the second one is on the table. Put on the table. So we can draw the tree diagram into three branches. The first branch is our head verb. And the second one is the first object, noun phrase, determiner plus noun. And the last one is prepositional phrase, which is the complement. So prepositional phrase we separate into P, on, and noun phrase, determiner and noun. So So I think we already analyzed a lot of the verb phrase, noun phrase, prepositional phrase as well that is under the verb phrase. So what we are going to do next is that let's practice how to draw the sentence. But before we go to sentence, let's practice the structure that, okay, we still have noun phrase here, but this noun phrase we have the modifier of noun phrase as the clause. So how can we do something like this? Okay, let's analyze this structure. The professor whom I met at the conference. I gave you, this time is quite complex, so I give you 2 minutes. Let's have a look at the answer keys. So, in this case, we have it's now phrase, right? So we start by NP here. Okay, we start by NP. So in this NP, we have, okay, so NP, we have the head, which is professor. And we have the dependent. The first dependent is there, and the second dependent is whom I met at the conference, which is a clause. So here, how we can analyze into more detail. So now first, we have determiner, which is the, and we have now as a head professor, and we, so whom I met at the conference, it is a clause, the adjectival clause that modify professor. But when we analyze the syntax, we will notice them as a sentence. So here we draw S and bar. So here we can, this is symbol in terms of syntax we call bar. So we can call this one as S bar. So it means that it's a type of the clause. So in this S bar here, we separate into two branches. The first one is complementizer and the second one is sentence. So as you can see, the reason that we need to separate into complementizer because we have whom as complementizer. Whom is not the pronoun here because we have I that following whom. So S here separate into complementizer whom, and we have another S here, which is I met at the conference. So S here we don't have bar anymore to tell the difference between S bar and S here. So S we separate into two branches. Please remember that every sentence always separate into two branches like this. So if you analyze it as a sentence, so the next branch you always have two branches which are noun phrase and verb phrase. And as here we separate into the first note noun phrase, and here is the pronoun. So we separate into noun phrase first, and then we identify into pronoun. So noun phrase, pronoun I, and the second branch is verb phrase. So in this verb phrase we separate into, so met at the conference, right? So the head is met, and at the conference is prepositional phrase. So prepositional here we separate into P, at, and noun phrase, the conference. So here is the answer keys, the tree diagram for this noun phrase. So let's move to sentence, the actual sentence. Let's start by the very simple one. For example, the sentence Farsight enter the final round. So I give you 2 minutes and a half to analyze this tree diagram. Okay, here are the answer key for this sentence. ฟ้าใส enter the final round. So, we have sentence ฟ้าใส enter the final round, right? And we separate into two branches. As I mentioned, every sentence always separate into two branches, noun phrase and verb phrase. So, the first branch is noun phrase, and then we separate into noun ฟ้าใส. And the second branch is verb phrase, enter the final round. So, we separate into two branches because in this verb phrase, the dependent, we have only one dependent, the final round that modify enter. So in this verb phrase, we separate into verb, enter, and noun phrase. So in this noun phrase, the head is round, right? So we have two dependent, which are that and adjective that modify noun here. Mhm. And the next sentence, James is reading a history book. I give you 2 minutes to do that. Okay. อาจารย์ขอเคลียร์กับน้องหมาแป๊บนึงนะคะขอโทษนะทุกคนพุตานมานี่มาพุตานมาเร็วโอเคโอเคเราขออนุญาตมีแขกรับเชิญนิดนึงนะคะมาthe answer keys of this one. Okay, here. So it is a sentence, right? So we separate into two branches, noun phrase and verb phrase. So actually, the noun phrase of this sentence is not that difficult, right? Because we can separate into noun, James, and But the thing that is complex for you guys, I think, is the part of verb phrase because we have like the auxiliary is here. So whenever you analyze the verb phrase, the complex sentence, the complex verb phrase like this, first of all, you need to find the head verb. So the head verb is reading, right? Because reading bear the core meaning and tell the the core meaning is within the reading, right? Within this head. So the dependent of reading is and a history book. So when we draw the tree diagram, we separate into three branches: aux, verb, and noun phrase. So auxiliary can refer to the verb that we use to help to carry the grammatical relationship. So auxiliary can be those modal verbs like can, could, may, might, or can be is like in the case of continuous tense, or can be have, has in the case of those perfect tenses, or even can be do, does in the case of negative present tense. So auxiliary can be something that help us to portray, to convey uh, the grammatical structure. And we have the head verb reading here. So and then we have the object, a history book, the noun phrase here. So we separate into determiner, adjective, and noun ค่ะยังมีอีกตัวหนึ่งเนาะเพราะอีกตัวกำลังนอนหลับอยู่ Okay, next we have the sentence: the dish is surprisingly delicious. I give you 2 minutes to draw this T diagram. The answer keys of this sentence. Okay, here the dish is surprisingly delicious. Okay, so it is a sentence. As I mentioned, we need to separate into two main branches: noun phrase and verb phrase. Okay, so the noun phrase is this ditch, sorry, this ditch. So we separate into determiner and noun, this ditch. And it's surprisingly delicious. It is verb phrase. So we have is verb and surprisingly delicious we categorize as adjective phrase because surprisingly modify delicious, surprisingly delicious, very delicious, right? So surprisingly will not be an adverb that modify is because is the is linking verb. They do not need adverb to modify. And if we look at the meaning, surprisingly modify delicious rather than modify is as well. So 2 points here. And that's why we categorize surprisingly delicious as the adjective phrase. And then we separate into two main branches, adverb surprisingly and adjective delicious. The next sentence, I work at the hospital. So I give you 2 minutes again to identify, to practice drawing this tree diagram. Okay, let's have a look at the answer key. I work at the hospital here. So, we separate into noun phrase and verb phrase again. And in noun phrase, we separate into pronoun because here we have I. I is pronoun, not noun, right? So that's why we write pronoun here. And in the part of verb phrase, so verb phrase, the head of this verb phrase is work. So we separate into two branches because this verb phrase we have only one dependent, which is at the hospital. So we separate into verb and prepositional phrase. So verb here is work and prepositional phrase we separate into P, at, and noun phrase, the hospital, the determiner, and hospital noun. And the last sentence, a surprisingly small amount of liquid fell. In this time, I give you 3 minutes, 3 minutes miracle to identify, to analyze by using the tree diagram อยากให้ทุกคนวาดตามไปด้วยเลยนะคะแล้วก็มาดู answer key อีกทีหนึ่ง if you have any question just like feel free to leave it down below but this time 3 minutes to practice drawing a surprisingly small amount of liquid fellเสียงแล้วก็สัญญาณยังดีอยู่ไหมรบกวนช่วยคอมเมนต์บอกอาจารย์ด้วยนะคะทุกคนก็ วาดไปเรื่อยๆเนาะลอง analyze ไปดูนะคะเดี๋ยวอาจารย์ขอตัวไปยิบน้ำดื่มก่อนเนาะ Okay, let's have a look at the answer keys of this sentence. So, this sentence, a surprisingly small amount of liquid fell. So we can separate into noun phrase. So our noun phrase here is very long construction because we have a surprisingly small amount of liquid, and we have only verb phrase just fell. So, as I mentioned that every sentence need to separate into noun phrase and verb phrase, right? So we separate into noun phrase and verb phrase, and in our verb phrase, we identify into the verb and fell. And in our noun phrase, which is very long, so you need to specify the head of this noun phrase first. So my suggestion is that a month is noun, head noun. So we have a determiner and surprisingly small adjective phrase because surprisingly adverb modify small adjective. So it is adjective phrase. So we separate into adverb surprisingly and adjective small, and then follow with our head noun a month. And then we follow with prepositional phrase of liquid. So prepositional phrase here is P of and noun phrase here, now liquid. So here is that's all for G diagram for normal construction. So now we are going to move to another topic. The last topic for today. Yay, guys! We are about to finish here. Oops, no, not this one. Okay, let me find the file first. Okay, the next topic that we are going to talk about is the ambiguous sentence. So, the ambiguous sentence, it is the sentence that we can have. Ambiguous sentence is a sentence that we can interpret the meaning of that sentence into maybe more two or more than two meanings ประโยคกำกวมนั่นเอง so it means that in ambiguous sentence there might be some structure that affect the sentence to be ambiguous to be able to interpret into two meanings. So actually in terms of syntax, there are many structure that can affect to the structure to be ambiguous. For example, adjective, but the most structure that always a headache for syntacticians that always occur to have the ambiguity ทำให้มันกำกวมเนี่ย that structure is prepositional phrase. For example, this sentence, Tom saw the woman with the telescope. So this sentence can be interpreted into two meanings. The reason is that we have the prepositional phrase with the telescope here. So as you may know that prepositional phrase can be used to modify two things. Actually, prepositional phrase can modify many things, right? But with the telescope, prepositional phrase here can be used to modify woman in front of it, woman with the telescope, or with the telescope can be used to modify saw, which means Tom, Tom here, he used the telescope to saw that woman. Or we don't know whether with the telescope here modify women, that the women come with the telescope or not. So it means that we have two types, two interpretation, two main meaning. This point will occur in your final exam for sure, so please forget it well. So, so as I mentioned, prepositional phrase can be used to modify two things. The first one is the noun phrase woman, and the second one is a verb saw. So it means that it can mean that the verb phrase. Sorry. So with the telescope can modify verb phrase, verb, and pp, or it can modify noun phrase, noun and pp. So let's have a look at the tree diagram. So Tom saw woman with the telescope. So if we would like to say that Tom saw woman with the telescope, it means that okay, if we would like to refer that Tom saw woman with the telescope, it means that okay, so with the telescope modify the action saw, the verb saw, right? So it means that in this sentence, Tom saw the woman with the telescope. We separate into noun phrase and verb phrase. And in this noun phrase, it's just Tom, the noun Tom. And in the verb phrase, the point is in the verb phrase, saw the woman with the telescope. So in this case, saw the woman with the telescope. With the telescope will be just object complement, but the woman will be object of the verb saw. Saw how? Or saw with the telescope. So our verb phrase will be verb plus noun phrase the woman and plus pp with the telescope. So in this case, our word phrase, we will have three branches if we draw the tree diagram. Because in this case, we separate noun phrase and PP. So PP, modify verb here. So if we draw it into tree diagram, again, if I go too quickly, you can pause it first and like take your time and then play it later. Okay, so if we draw the T diagram, we will have something like this. So in your final exam, you don't need to draw the T diagram for the ambiguous sentence, but you will need to be able to identify the interpretation, the two meanings that we can found, and the structure, the difference in terms of structure that it modified. So in this case, we separate into noun phrase and verb phrase. Noun phrase is noun Tom, and verb phrase we have three branches. The first one is verb, the second one is noun phrase, and the last one is prepositional phrase. So in this case, it means that noun phrase is immediate constituent of this verb. Also, prepositional phrase is immediate constituent of the verb saw. So we have the object, the noun phrase, that and now, and prepositional phrase, P and NP and that and now here. However, if so as I mentioned, with the telescope can modify now in front of it as well, right? Woman here. So how can we draw the tree diagram? So in this time, the difference in verb phrase. So if Tom saw the woman by using telescope, our verb phrase will be verb plus noun phrase plus PP. So PP modify saw. But in this time, if we would like to portray to show that Tom saw the woman and that woman come with the telescope here. So our verb phrase will be verb plus noun phrase. So we won't have PP here because in this noun phrase we have that, the, and noun women and plus PP. So it means that PP here is the immediate constituent of this noun phrase, of this noun, dependent of this noun. But if we would like to mention that saw with the telescope, so PP is a dependent of verb here. So here is a different. So PP is a dependent of different structure if it occur in different meaning. So in this case, if you would like to analyze the T diagram, we will have something like this. So S to noun phrase to noun again, and in verb phrase, apart from it different from Tom saw with the telescope in the way that we have only two branches, verb and noun phrase here. And in noun phrase, we separate into det and noun and pp. And in pp, we have p and np and det and noun. So let me combine two tree diagram together so you can have more clearer picture. Okay, so the first one is Tom using the telescope to saw the women. So as you can see, we separate into three branches here. And the second one, it is the woman that come with the telescope. So PP here, modify now phrase, the woman here. So as you can see, we have just two branches in terms of verb phrase, and in noun phrase, we have PP here under the noun phrase to be immediate constituent. Hỏa chan bằng. ไม่ผิดด้าน Okay เพราะฉะนั้น when you analyze in your final exam, what you need to be able to do is that the first one, you need to know that there are two meanings that can be interpreted from this sentence because we have prepositional phrase that can be used to modify either the noun phrase the woman or the whole verb phrase saw the woman. So if it modifies saw the woman, it means that Tom saw by using the telescope, right? So it means that our verb phrase, we have verb and two other dependent. So PP is the immediate constituent to the verb saw. But if we would like to refer that with the telescope modify the woman, the noun phrase here. So the woman come with the telescope here. So we would like to say that so in our verb phrase we have verb plus NP, but in this NP we have that the plus noun plus PP. So in this case PP, the same structure, PP is the immediate constituent of noun. Okay, so what are we going to do next is that I will show you the sentence here. I will give you 5 minutes. Okay, 5 minutes. So in this 5 minutes, I would like you to see whether the sentence the lady hit the man with an umbrella in this sentence, would it be ambiguous sentence, and what kind of meaning that we can interpret. So if you know the answer, so the first one, can it be ambiguous? The second one is that if it is ambiguous sentence, what kind of meaning can we generate from this sentence? เป็น ambiguous หรือเปล่ากับ 2. ถ้าเป็น meaning ไหนที่สามารถ interpret ได้ and the third one, if it is ambiguous sentence, what modify what that make it ambiguous อะไร modify อะไรที่ทำให้มัน ambiguous. If you know the answer, please comment down below the comment in the live here. 5 minutes to do that. ถ้ารู้คำตอบแล้วคอมเมนต์ข้างล่างได้เลยนะคะ Okay. เริ่ม okay I give you 5 minutes. Let's do this. Okay, thank you for all the answers here. Seems like all the answers here are correct and you understand it very well. To show you the answer keys here, the lady hit the man, as I mentioned. The lady hit แป๊บนึงนะ so the lady hit the man. It is the ambiguous sentence because we can because we have with an umbrella here. With an umbrella is a prepositional phrase and it can modify two things here. The first one, man with an umbrella ผู้ชายมากับร่ม or the second one, hit the lady hit the man but the lady used the umbrella to hit him. So we can have the first meaning, the lady hit by using an umbrella, or the second one, the man come with an umbrella. So, as you guys mentioned, so the lady hit the man with an umbrella if she used the umbrella to hit him. So in the verb phrase will be verb plus noun phrase plus PP. So PP here modify verb. But if the man come with an umbrella, it means that in the verb phrase we have verb plus NP, the man with an umbrella, and in the NP we have we have that plus noun plus PP. So PP here is the immediate constituent. PP here is the immediate constituent of man. So if we draw the T diagram from the lady use the umbrella to hit the man. So we will have this kind of structure. Sentence, noun phrase, the lady, that, and now. And verb phrase, we have verb hit, and we separate into three branches, noun phrase, verb, and PP. So PP, modify verb. Hit, so that the man, and prepositional phrase, prepo with, and noun phrase, and determiner, and now. So we have here, we have preposition as prepositional phrase as the dependent of the verb hit. And next, the lady hit the man with an umbrella. So if the man has the umbrella with him, so with an umbrella, modify man, noun phrase. So in this case, we have the T diagram, like, so verb plus NP. And in this NP, we have PP as a dependent that modify now man. So in this case, the man come with an umbrella. So here's a big hand for you guys. You guys all answer correctly. เก่งมากนะคะ So actually that's all for today. But before we go, I would like to mention about our next week, what we are going to do next week. Let me find a slide here first, and then we go. So next week, what are we going to do next week is that in next week you need to submit your third assignment. So as you might remember, we still have 2 assignments left. So each assignment counts as 1.25%. So in order to help you to save your time, our third assignment will be the summarization of chapter 7, 8, and 9. Because you will have to have the final exam for sure, right? So you need to summarize your the content, everything. So our third assignment is just to summarize chapter 7, 8, 9, and you need to use your own words and example. So it will be similar like our first assignment. So in this assignment, feel free to do, you can just like type, or you can do the mind map, or you can do the infographic, whatever you can create by yourself, whatever. Just what I would like is that just summarize chapter 7, 8, 9. And how to submit it. So this time it a bit different from the first assignment, because first assignment you can have the hard copy and submit it to me, right? But in this time, since we have those COVID-19, so please submit it through the PDF file. Please you can do in whatever. You can have the mind map, you can do by summarize like texting, but like in whatever means, but please export it into the PDF file and submit it through the Google Drive. The link of the Google Drive and the detail like this I will post it in our group within today. So this is what you need to submit next week. So the deadline is next Thursday before I don't remember before 4 or 4 or 6 p.m. something like that ก่อน 4 โมงหรือก่อน 6 โมงนี่แหละนะอืม Okay, this is what will happen next week. And yeah, as I mentioned, we have 4 assignments, right? We complete 3 already. And the fourth assignment is that, so since next week, we will have the review for final exam. From for section 6 is 8:30 until 11. And for section 2 is noon until 3. So our review final exam we will do online class, but what I would like to ask you guys is that whether you would like to do through the Google Meet or do through the Facebook Live like this. You can comment down below about your opinion. If you like the live session through the Facebook today, you can comment it too. But if you think that Google Meet is better, you can comment it too. So feel free to comment. I would like to hear your opinion a lot. Your opinion is matter for me a lot. So please feel free to comment what would you think about these 2 ways. So we will do based on the most opinion. So if you feel that Google Meet is better, we will do through Google Meet, and the link of Google Meet will send it to you through our Facebook 15 minutes before the class time. But if you think that the session live through Facebook like this is better and like it helps you more, so you can comment that too. So back to our fourth assignment, 1.25%. Our fourth assignment will be in the review final exam. So during the final exam, I will ask you a lot of questions. So what I would like you to do is that you can comment to answer my question. So if you comment during the review final exam session, you will get the point for your fourth assignment. So only the person who answer the first one, you will get the point. And don't worry, I have a lot of questions for all of you guys. And oh, another thing is that if you answer wrong, it's okay, you still get the point. Wrong answer, still get the point. Just try to answer and learn from your mistake. That's okay enough. Okay, so for my opinion, I think I like the live on Facebook more because it seems like the internet connection is stable more than the Google Meet, and you can come back and watch it later, and you can like pause if you like would like to have time for yourself first. But anyway, again, it depends on you guys. Your, as I mentioned, your opinion is like more important here. So please comment down below whether you like or dislike today's session. Yeah, I really wanna hear your opinion. And if you have any question about today's chapter, feel free to comment down below. I will answer it I will like come back and answer your comment, your question again. And what else? Oh, don't forget to do the exercise. Exercise. So exercise of this chapter as well, because exercise of this chapter will be practicing drawing the tree diagram, right? So please practice on that. I will upload the answer keys of the exercise in the Google Drive and will let you know through our Facebook post. And the answer keys for your chapter, for your phrasal and clausal and sentential category, the answer key for those exercise, we will use that for the discussion next week. So please keep your eyes on that. And if you forgot to do the exercise, please do it before the class next week, since we will review on that. And that's all for today. If you have any question, feel free to leave it down below. And if today there are any mistake, I'm really sorry for that. And all the noise that disturbs come from this guy. Okay, so please blame everything on him. Okay, so yeah, all the snoring sound and yeah, everything that cock cack is come from him. So Lucky say sorry to PP. Yeah, so sorry. So see you guys next week through the online section. We will not have the on-site classroom session anymore. So bye bye everybody. See you next week. Okay. ขอบคุณทุกคนมากๆเลยนะคะวันนี้เสียงดังต่างๆก็มาจากตัวนี้แหละค่ะอาจารย์ขอโทษด้วยนะคะแล้วก็น้องก็ขอโทษพี่ๆด้วยนะคะ Okay see you guys next week ว้ามักกี้ก็อ้วนไม่ใช่เล่นนะลูกโอเคค่ะ